you've got your spark plugs gapped, you've got your spark plug threads coated with thread anti-seize compound, and the next step to doing your tune-up is going to be to make a little bit of room. First thing we've got to do is get this plastic manifold cover off of the car. Simply take the oil filler cap out, set it aside, and there's two finger holes. There's one here and one here. Just stick your fingers in, pull up, and it lifts straight out. Now, depending on your car, you may not actually have the plastic cover. It's simply decorative, doesn't really serve a function, and a lot of people leave them off, but we're going to keep ours on because we have it. To keep foreign objects from falling into the engine while we're working on it, we're going to go ahead and put the oil filler cap back on. We need to gain access to the front and rear banks of cylinders. On the front side, we need to remove the air cleaner snorkel. That's going to come out a couple of ways. I'm going to go ahead and loosen from this clamp here and take the bellows off. And we're going to come to the other side. I'm going to pop that hose off and that clamp there. I'm going to take the snorkel assembly off. There's also one fastener here that is actually not connected on our car. We're going to have to reconnect it when we're done. Yep, for some reason it wasn't connected, but it's a screw. We're going to have to reattach it on this car. On the odd number cylinder side, the fireball side, the ignition coil pack needs to come out, and that will grant us access to the back. Number one cylinder is hidden behind the alternator. Don't miss it, especially in our case. We're doing it because we're having a misfire on number one, so we're definitely going to have to get that done. Now that we've got the air snorkel off, you can see the boots on the driver's side are much more easily accessible. I think I'm going to go in here. I'm almost afraid to clean the oil off the top of the engine for fear of cleaning off something that's stopping a leak. But we're going to go ahead and replace these spark plug wires, replace these spark plugs, and call it good. Insert your straight blade, work it down a little bit, and pull up. And there's your plug wires free of the wire retainers. Okay, once your plug wires are free, you pull one at a time the wire boots off the plugs and set it aside. Replace that plug, which I'll show you how to next. To remove the spark plug, we're using a properly sized spark plug socket on an extension rod and a 3/8 ratchet. Simply guide the socket onto the plug. So you saw it just slide on, and then
unwind it with a ratchet.
Since we're no longer ratchet tight, I'm going to go by hand because the space is limited here. And you'll feel it right there. You'll feel it came loose all the way. The spark plug is in there. It doesn't look that bad. Okay. You can see that centerpiece right there, how thick that is compared to the one next to it. You can clearly see how much more material is on the one on the left. The electrode, most of the electrode here has basically melted away with use. For the new spark plug, we insert it back into the spark plug socket. Something you need to notice, spark plug sockets have a piece of rubber in them to keep you from dropping the plug. Guide it in by hand and hand thread it as far as it will go by hand. You do not ever want to start a spark plug with a ratchet. You want to finish them off. If you start them with a ratchet, you run the risk of cross-threading into the cylinder head, and that's a repair I don't want to get involved in. I've run it in as far as I can by hand. I've set my ratchet to tighten, and I simply, there we go. I'm a big guy and my hands are pretty strong. I don't want to over torque these, so my method is I grab the ratchet by the head and turn until my wrist can't produce any more torque. Then I know the spark plug is in sufficiently tight. There is a more accurate method using a torque wrench, but I've found over the years it doesn't matter. It really won't make a difference. Okay, to gain the clearance we need, we're going to remove 1, 2, on the backside 3, and 4 bolts off of the ignition coil pack. These are 10mm bolts. I'm just taking my 10mm socket. On the backside, I'm probably going to use a swivel and run these out. I'm also going to take loose this connector because it looks like it's getting in the way, and we'll have this cleared out. One of the things you'll run into occasionally is a spark plug wire won't cooperate. The crimped end will rip out and stay on the spark plug. This one was on the number 1. I couldn't get it out. If we look at the spark plug in the spark plug socket, you can see that the crimp end extends beyond where the ratchet goes into on the spark plug socket. You notice spark plug sockets are designed with a hex on them for just this sort of incident. I took a 19mm wrench or socket, combined it like that in that sort of rig, and I was able to back the plug out. Always remember, if you get something that broke, there's another way to fix it. Okay, I've already done the ones on the backside. They're a little too hard to video because you just can't get the camera in that angle. But I've replaced the spark plug wires in the back. To do that, now mind you, I kept the spark plug wires in place so I know which ones are which. You remove the spark plug wire, trace it back to the ignition coil, and simply unplug it. Match it up to the matching one in the set and reroute it the same way. Do them one at a time. That way you know you don't have them mixed up. Once you have all of the cables rerun and the boots secured, run your cables through your cable management clips, secure them, and now we're ready to put the shield back on and the air horn, start her up and see how she runs. Alright, we have the decorative shield back on it. We have the air intake snorkel on it. We've verified that there's no tools or parts left under the hood. We're ready to start it up and see how she runs. There you go. The intermittent miss on number one's gone. Fires up super easy. Can't complain. Plugs and wires are swapped out. Next thing we got to do for this tune-up is the air filter change. Now, GM got funny on this. Usually, I wouldn't think you'd need a video to show you how to change an air filter, but usually I'm not dealing with goofy engineering like this 3.5 liter. I got to show you that in the next video. But hey, stay tuned. Alright, like I always say, get out to your shop, be productive, be safe, but most of all, be blessed. If you like what I'm doing in my videos, remember to click like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.